we're going to break down some free agency targets here for the Dallas Cowboys. Several of them you guys have already thrown into the live chat. Some of them you haven't, but we'll break them down. Remember, guys, you can still sign players. That is what's still going on. So before we dive into the players, I want to mention where the needs are right now. Defensive end, defensive tackle, safety, cornerback are some of the big ones right there. Which, by the way, defense. That's the big area of focus for your Dallas Cowboys. Receiver, by the way, especially wide receiver 3, also a key area of focus for Dallas. So we're going to begin with defensive end, a name many of you have put into the comment section. Jadeveon Clowney. I've said this before. We said it like a day ago. I don't know. Time blends together during free agency. I don't even know what day it is anymore. The Cowboys are not going to be interested in Clowney unless his price drops significantly. Clowney was asking for Tank Lawrence money or more. He's not going to have interest in that. Well, the Cowboys aren't. There's no way they're going to pay that. They're just not going to. However, Clowney's market hasn't been what he wanted it to be. Now, if Dallas wanted to, they could afford him. But the question is, at what point do they want to afford him? Clowney only had 3 sacks last year. Now, if you foolishly only judge production on sacks, you think he sucks. He doesn't. He's a good player. He's not even as good as DeMarcus Lawrence is. He's not worth $20 million. I'm not paying him that. If it comes down to 16, 17, 15, okay, I kind of start having some interest at that point. Now, where things sit right now on the Cowboys' defensive line, you can very clearly see there's some needs there. You got, I think, 2 starters for sure locked in. Very clearly, DeMarcus Lawrence, Gerald McCoy. Well, Antoine Woods could be back. You can start him if you need to. Tyrone Crawford, frankly, he might be your best bet, guys. It's not a great group out there. Now, one guy I would love to pursue, and frankly I think makes a little bit more sense than Clowney, is Everson Griffen. Now, Griffen opted out of his deal with the Minnesota Vikings. The initial plan was to re-sign. That hasn't happened yet. That seems interesting to me. There is, of course, a connection as well for the Cowboys and for Everson Griffen, namely that former Vikings defensive coordinator George Edwards is currently on the staff for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, there was a report out of Minnesota that the market for Griffen could be around $8 to $10 million, somewhere in that range. If that's the case, I do have interest, especially if you can structure it, as I know the Cowboys can, in a very clever way. So for the cost involved, I actually prefer Griffen to Clowney. Now, there are some other defensive end targets in a group that is very, very thin right now. Overall, it's just not that good. It was thin to begin with, and with a lot of the top players off the market, not too interested right there. The other guys I want to mention, Marcus Golden. You could bring back Michael Bennett. That might be a sensible move here for the Cowboys. Ezekiel Ansah. Those 2 other guys on the edges there, Golden, Ansah, they would impact your comp pick formula. That's a potential issue there. And Clay Matthews was just cut as well. I don't love his fit, though. Even though there are Mike McCarthy ties, I'm not quite sure how he fits in this Cowboys defense if they don't want to move to a full 3-4 scheme. So who do you want the Dallas Cowboys to sign? Let me know in the comment section. In fact, let me know on the pinned comment. If you're watching on YouTube, you might get an ad break here. So scroll down to that pinned comment. It'll be this question. You can cast your votes right there. Let's talk about some offense now, because offense is really close to being in fantastic shape, just so we're clear. There is interest, mutual interest, between Emmanuel Sanders and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Sanders would not be a Randall Cobb replacement. He'd actually be a Randall Cobb upgrade. I have mentioned Emmanuel Sanders for years on this show. Even before the Cowboys got Amari Cooper, I was talking about, hey, can I get Emmanuel Sanders? Now, I had initially thought Sanders' market was going to be too high. It was going to be too expensive. He only really made sense if the Cowboys lost Amari Cooper. But maybe Sanders' market isn't as great as I thought it was going to be. He hasn't signed yet, after all. Maybe Sanders could take a $6-7 million deal. Just throwing that out there as a potential option. And then Sanders comes in. He can play slot, can play outside. I'll tell you this. If the Cowboys get Emmanuel Sanders, I will put this receiving core up with anybody in the NFL. Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Emmanuel Sanders, I'll take on any trio in the NFL. I really, truly would. Now, you can still draft somebody, as we'll get into here in a little bit, but if I can get Sanders at a Gerald McCoy-esque deal, even just maybe like it's a 2-year 16 or maybe 2-year 15 fully guaranteed, I do that in a heartbeat. My issue is I don't know if Sanders ends up doing that. Now, today's show is brought to you by Kashiyama, the Smart Tailor. They have launched their new modern tailor line, and it's exactly that. It is modern, and you can check it out at Kashiyama1927.com. But this is not your normal cotton, stuffy, heated suit. Anything but, frankly. These are high-performance fabrics, a little bit more like the athletic gear than like that gross cotton blend that gets all stuffy and sweaty that's not fun to sit around in at all. It's got wrinkle-resistant fabric, so you don't have to iron it every time. And heck, you don't have to pay for dry cleaning. You can throw it in your washing machine. And these suits start at $300. Yeah, that's the best suit deal out there. So check them out, Kashiyama1927.com. And this one is not the modern tailor line. It's one of the more classic ones. They've got both. They begin at $300. So check them out at Kashiyama1927.com. I'll put that link, by the way, in the comments and in the description. Next up is Taylor Gabriel. He was cut by the Chicago Bears before free agency began. He's a veteran option. Now, he's not as good as Cobb. He's simply not. He's not going to be that same caliber of player. He's a fine option. But if the options are Taylor Gabriel, you can throw in pretty much any other receiver. I don't think Robbie Anderson's a fit from a price perspective. That's why he's not on there. Gabriel, pretty much everybody else, including Dez Bryant, since you guys keep asking in the comment section, why not just draft somebody? And this is my question to you right now. What should the Cowboys do at wide receiver 3? Draft somebody or sign somebody? I say it's Emmanuel Sanders or draft pick. And by the way, you can still sign Dez Bryant and draft somebody. It's fine. But Dez has never been a slot receiver in the NFL. Just keep that in mind. So I say draft. You guys let me know in the comments section, but it is a historically great draft class. Back to defense now. And Ndamukong Suh, the production's dipped. He is not the same guy he was in his prime or even at, frankly, Nebraska. But he does still provide something the Cowboys could use. That's some interior presence and some beef, and fatties only applies to Ndamukong Suh. My expectation for Suh is that he will wait on signing again. We'll see if this gets turned into an erroneous comment in a day, which might end up happening. But I think he's going to take some time to make his decision. And yes, you brought in Gerald McCoy. You cannot be done on the interior. Literally, you cannot be done because you don't have enough bodies in there. You have Gerald McCoy. I continue to operate under the assumption that you'll bring back Antoine Woods, but I need more than just Woods, quite frankly, and Tristan Hill. You're going to run out there with 3 interior defensive linemen? No. Absolutely not. So I know that there's some frustration over the lack of urgency by a lot of the Cowboys' moves so far. Patience. There will be more moves. Just from a pure math perspective, there literally has to be. And we will keep you updated on all of those moves right here at the Cowboys Report. Hit that big red button and subscribe. We're almost at 51K. Yeah, I went from 50K to 51K super quickly. I haven't hit it during the show. Let's see if we can make that happen. So hit that big red button and subscribe. I promise you guys, no one will keep you more updated on the Cowboys free agency and the Cowboys in general than we will right here. You guys knew Snacks was going to be in here, right? I already see the comments coming in. I didn't put him at the first. I wanted to make you wait a little bit because we all know. We want Damon Harrison. At least I think I speak for most Cowboys fans when I say that. I'm sure there's someone out there who doesn't want Harrison because no one in this country can agree 100% on everything. Harrison already lives in Dallas, by the way. My concern here is the price tag issue. Harrison is exactly what the Cowboys need. It's exactly what they need. He's not going to be a great sack machine, but he's going to be a run clogger, a run stopper, can be on the field if you need him on third downs, will probably come off anyway. Damon Harrison is a guy that I have coveted for a while for the Cowboys. In the past, his contract was always too high. It was always too expensive. Now coming off a down year in which he was still better than any Cowboys interior defensive lineman in terms of stopping the run, maybe that could work out in the end. Now, in the past, I've asked you guys to spam snacks to show that we won it. Different question for you guys today. What's your favorite snack out there? There are a lot of great options. My answer is going to surprise you. It's actually peanut butter. Now, normally of these snacks, I think junk food. I see cookies in there from Triple X. I love peanut butter. I will eat that straight out of the jar repeatedly. My wife hates it when I do it, but I absolutely love it. I see popcorn, Cheez-Its, Cheetos, Gushers. Ooh, Bill D. That's a different question right there. I like that one. Cheetos, cookies, popcorn, chocolate. Patrick, get out of the comments. It's very rude. Alan, I'm not sure. Oh, Alan doesn't like my comment. You said yuck. I thought you said something else. I was real confused because you always watch. Paydays. That's not one I thought we were going to see in there. Keep those comments coming, folks, as we move on to Mike Pennell. Mike Pennell is the former Chiefs defensive lineman, played with the Patriots as well. There is a direct correlation this year for the Chiefs' run defense with Mike Pennell versus without it. When he came to town, they were much better. There is a Mike McCarthy connection, played for Green Bay from 2014 to 2016. So if you can't get Damon Harrison and you're still looking for a big boy on the interior who can play that nose guard role well for you, I suggest Pennell. I think he's going to be productive. Now, he might be a little cheap. Might not be as good as Damon Harrison. Frankly, won't be as good as Damon Harrison, but he'd be a good addition for the Cowboys. All right, some other defensive tackle targets here. I'll mention Shelby Harris, Derek Wolfe. I think that makes some sense. I wonder if their market's a little bit too expensive, and they kind of strike me more of the Gerald, McCoy, Tyrone Crawford role, which could be needed, but I want fat boys. Dontari Poe, Marcel Darius. Two names that are big. We know who those guys are. The casual fan knows. They're not the same guys they were in their prime. Let's not forget that. So they can come in. They wouldn't impact the comp pick formula, I don't believe, but they're not going to quite make the impact you might otherwise think. Now, a reminder, go check out Kashiyama at Kashiyama1927.com. Custom fitted suits, takes an hour to get your perfect fit. They start from $300. It's the best suit deal out there. So check the comments, check the description. That link's in there at Kashiyama1927.com. Let's talk safeties now. You guys knew we were going to get here, right? Vonn Bell is the first one up. I like Vonn Bell. If you're looking for a pure, strong safety, he fits that mold. He really does, and he's at his best, by the way, in run support, hence the strong safety. Now, he's not going to go back to the Saints. They signed Malcolm Jenkins instead. There is a connection here. Former Saints LB's coach Mike Nolan is the new Cowboys defensive coordinator. Bell is not going to be a playmaker. And my concern with Bell, even though I like him as a player, is I don't really trust him in deep coverage. And here's my question for you. We don't quite yet know what the Cowboys scheme will be. My suspicion right now is that Dallas is going to run more single high coverage. That's the path they're going to end, more quarters coverage, That's the route they're going to end up going. I don't think Vonn Bell fits that quite perfectly. Now, a player who fits it better is Clinton Dix, who's played strong safety and free safety. And I failed to mention this before, and that's my fault. Yes, Clinton Dix played for the Packers under Mike McCarthy. The ending of Clinton Dix's tenure in Green Bay was bad. He more or less quit on that team. Maybe we'll see if McCarthy's forgiven him for that. Now, he played well for the Bears. We'll see what his market is. But he does bring you some playmaking. I think that's valuable for what this team could use right now, especially given the cornerback position. 2 interceptions, 3 picks, 5 picks. Turnovers can be a little inconsistent. But 3 picks pretty much every year of his past 4 years? Yeah, I can make that work. A name I do like here that, again, is under the radar is Adrian Phillips, who, fun fact, was an All-Pro in 2018. Despite that, he's not going to be that expensive. He's just not going to be. The market for safeties overall, as you'll see in a second, still has some bodies out there. It's not like it's depleted in the same way edge kind of almost is. He was banged up last year, but I think he fits what the Cowboys could attempt to do. So I think that makes a whole lot of sense for the Dallas Cowboys in terms of what options are out there in the end. There are a variety of other safeties who are out there right now that we can get into as well beyond just Adrian Phillips. I see a lot of you guys mention Eric Reed. He's one of them. Again, if you're going to play quarters coverage, if that's going to be more of your base defense, I don't think Eric Reed fits that well. If you want to, in the box strong safety, sign me up. Demarius Randall, Anthony Harris definitely fit in that deep kind of quarters coverage role. I will make note on Anthony Harris. He would be a trade target, but the Vikings are shopping him, so I'd include him here. Rashad Jones, Demarius Randall, all those guys are in there as well. Someone mentioned Eric Berry. If he's healthy, he ain't healthy, so I'm not going to include him on this list for that reason. Now we're going to dive into cornerbacks next. But do the Cowboys need one? Type 1 for yes, 0 for no. And as you'll see as we go through a whole bunch of different targets, my answer is 1 but. The Cowboys do need a corner, but they don't need just any corner. What they need is a number 1 corner. And that's my issue with the groupings out there. Let's go through some of the top targets, right? Logan Ryan, best corner available on the free agent market. He is not a number 1. He also wants $10 million per year. The Cowboys have shown zero interest in paying corners that money. I'm not going to get my hopes up. And by the way, Logan Ryan, he's best in the nickel. I got 2 guys already doing that role for me in Anthony Brown / Jordan Lewis. Prince Amukamara, he's a number 2. I got enough of those guys already. I don't need 4 of the same caliber corner. I am almost to the point where I got to go number 1, or I'll go draft, or I'll just roll with my 4 and focus on it again next year. Xavier Rhodes hasn't been good in 2 years. Was horrible last year. Ronald Darby, always hurt. Tremaine Johnson was once great, sucked for the Jets. Like, he was terrible. Jimmy Smith, also once great. Banged up, not the same guy anymore. I see a lot of you guys mentioning Xavier Rhodes. I know the answer is no, that you didn't watch the Vikings. That's okay. You're Cowboys fans. I did. He's bad. He sucked. Like, he is not the solution. Aqib Talib, Brandon Carr were once number 1 cornerbacks. Not anymore. I'm sorry. Kevin Johnson, kind of more of the same. Nickel Roby-Coleman, I like him, but guess what? He's also a nickel. I need a number 1 guy. I don't see that guy out there in free agency. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.